So in this chapter, we're moving on. We're talking about Social Security taxes, and we are going to be digging into a little bit more who pays Social Security taxes, what do we pay Social Security taxes on, how do we calculate it. We're going to be looking outside of just FICA and onto something called SECA, which is for self-employed people. We've talked about that a little bit before, right? Because you're both sides of that equation, employee and employer. And then we're going to learn how to complete a 941, which I just showed you where that is. Okay, so coverage under FICA. We know, I'm sorry?
I apologize.
You're fine.
I've got a question on that. I thought I turned it into, but I didn't see the points on the first one.
Okay, can you ask me after class? Thanks. And we just went past it, sorry. Okay, so this should all be reviewed. You know all these numbers. There's nothing new on this slide. FICA is 6.2%. What are we using for our cap for FICA or for OASDI? 128.7. Is that correct?
No, it's 128.7. No, that's right.
128.7. Again, the book's a year old. And then now we're on to a new rate because we're in 2019. So I've got, and I'm writing for next year's textbooks already. So it's like, okay. Yes, is it?
Yeah, it's like 27.
There you go. I mean, so we're all concurring that for everything we're doing in here, working with OASCI, we are using a cap of 128,700. Yeah? Okay, cool. No cap on HI, we know that, 1.45. And then it says here, current administration may rescind this as we go to press. I think the current administration has a lot of other things on their mind that doesn't have anything to do with rescinding this 0.9% tax. So it's still in play. That's that. Okay, been in law for, gosh, 83 years now, right? It took, thank you, 16 years between the passage of FICA and the passage of SECA to realize that they weren't hitting self-employed people. So in 1951, SECA was passed that said, oh yeah, by the way, if you're self-employed, you've got to be paying both shares. Okay. What does that all tally up to? 12.4 plus 2.9. 15.3%. So 7.65 if you're just an employee. It's 15.3 if you're both. So that's a chunk of change. And also, if you're self-employed, that 200,000 tack on 0.9% for Medicare kicks in. Is that something the employer matches?
No.
No, that's just an employee pay, right? Okay. What we're really going to be looking at in this chapter is digging in, and we're going to do this a number of times. We sort of skirted around the last chapter. Is somebody considered an employee or an independent contractor? If you're my independent contractor, do I pay this on you? No. Do you pay it on yourself? Yes. Okay, so that's a pretty big issue. Is what you're doing for me considered employment? And what exactly of your whole compensation package is included in taxable wages? And spoiler alert, it's not everything. There's lots of stuff that I can give you of value that may not be cash, that may or may not be taxable for FICA. Most of us, if you have a job, working at Finn and Porter, you get an hourly wage. Nobody's talking about some big comp package with all these esoteric components.
So if you're an independent contractor and you're working for somebody else, an independent contractor, you have to pay the fees on more than the employee, but then the employer.
I'm sorry, say that last thing again. So I'm working for you, I paid for you in your commercial building, you cut me a check for $3,000.
I didn't have to pay the taxes on that.
You didn't pay taxes on it.
But do you technically have to pay both taxes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's just take that example a little bit. So she cuts me a check for $3,000 to paint her commercial building. Do I pay 15.3% of the whole $3,000? Why not?
You have to take out any expenses, man.
Yeah, I had to pay for the paint, I had to rent the sprayer. I drove my truck to and from the job, which I get 54.5 cents a mile on. So I get to take all those deductions against that $3,000 before I calculate my 15.3%. Okay, every person is an employer if a person employs one or more individuals for performance of services in the U.S. This is how our law is written. That means absolutely nothing to me. This is a completely circular statement. So this is not what I'm using to teach this piece. What I'm going to use to teach this piece is, let me put this up and then say something. What were the 3 categories? Again, I don't author the book, I just author the slides that go with the book, so I don't always necessarily concur. What are the 3 categories that I've been trying to coach you on how you determine if somebody's independent or employee? Okay, what's an example of behavioral control? Like with the whole painting or commercial building. Is there ever a situation where I would be your employee and paint for a commercial building? Get here at 8:15 in the morning, here's where you buy your paint, here's what quality paint you buy, here's what you do for the primer, here's what you do for the base, whatever, da-da-da-da-da. And then when you're done painting my building, start washing the windows. I'm her employee, right? I'm a maintenance fix-it gal. Versus, I'm going to come over, throw the primer on your building, and then I'm going to go over to Greg's place and, do some landscaping, because I've got gigs all over town, right? And then I'll be back to you on Wednesday. No, sorry, I can't come tomorrow, because I got to be at his place tomorrow. I'm clearly independent. You don't have behavioral control, okay? What else? Behavioral control? What does that mean? That's an example of financial control. One more time. Paychecks versus invoices. If I invoice her, it's more likely that I'm an independent contractor. She runs me through her payroll, time cards, I'm more likely to be an employee. And then the last one's perceived relationship. What do we both think that we are? Also under financial control is the question, how much of an investment do I have in my own materials? If I'm her employee, am I expected to show up with a sprayer? No, of course not. She's got to be there. Is there ever a situation, though, where you're an employee where you're expected to have, like what? Yeah.
Or
Officers are required to have certain,
Like,
purchase, but then they get
okay. Kind of, but not so much looking for the reimbursable examples.
I was thinking like just dress code that places could do that.
Okay, yeah, dress code, certainly, particularly if it's expensive, like I'm a logger and I need hard hats and safety boots and stuff like that, right? Or what about, hey, I want you to sell medical devices for my company in the winter in Montana, what do I need to bring to the table? Probably a 4-wheel drive, because I gotta be driving, right, to rural hospitals all over western Montana. Yeah. Oh my God, and yet another disturbing piece of footage, the evening news is just cheers up so much. So you can tell them there's that big polar vortex. I've never heard of it, there's this brand of Coke called Goose. You guys familiar with that? Like $2,000 coats. Yeah, pictures of people like beating up other people and stripping them of their $2,000 coats in Chicago. Awesome. And it's like the new age version of like people used to like rob each other for Jordan shoes. Now in the polar vortex, $2,000 coats. Oh my goodness. Okay. Behavioral control, financial control, and perceived relationship. These are specifically, these are examples of occupations that you don't even have to vet through that. They're just always covered. When you see things like this, it's because it's gone through, there's been a special interest group or a lobbying group or a court case maybe that's been adjudicated. So if you're a full-time life insurance salesperson, I have the life insurance company, you guys will sell for me, you're specifically covered. I can't require you to be independent, no matter, even if I don't have behavioral control. If you're the Schwann's driver, right, you're a commission driver of a food and beverage cart or dry cleaning cart or truck. Full-time traveling salespeople, and if you work at home, we've talked about this on a product. You put something together, you assemble it, you stuff envelopes, you do quality control. I absolutely 100% take home the supplies and bring them back to you. I've got to pay FICA on you. I can't call you an independent contractor. Other specific examples. So this isn't necessarily covered occupations. This is just this whole sort of broad category of special examples under FICA. And government employees, there was some exemption pre-1991 on paying OASVI. An in-patriot, everybody knows what an expatriate is, right? What's an expatriate? Somebody that, yeah, did they give up their citizenship? When you don't give up your citizenship, we were just down in Panama last year. There's huge expatriate communities down there of Americans that are living and working down there. You know, the cost of living is 15% what it is here. There's no crime. It's warm and sunny. Nobody's beating you up for your swimsuit. Panama. But also, there's tons of expat communities, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, all over Central America. Awesome expat communities. And in Patriots, exactly the opposite. People are coming here to live and work, but they're not giving up their Canadian citizenship, but they work in Buffalo, right? You don't have to pay Social Security on them because they never have any intention of collecting Social Security from Americans, from the American system. Okay, so if I'm a Canadian and I come down and work in Buffalo, I'm an in-patriot. My employer's not going to pay. Expats are subject to FICA. How the heck does that work? So I go down to Panama in 3-4 years, and I'm going to retire, and in my dream, I'm going to open a yoga studio down there, and I'm going to work in a yoga studio. Do I have to pay income taxes and Social Security on what I earn in Panama? Yeah, sure I do. Americans are taxed on their income wherever they earn it in the world.
How do they enforce that?
One more time.
How do they enforce that?
I have to look at that. Probably my employer in Panama is not going to be translating the W-2 to English from Spanish and making sure that it's on a timely basis. But if they do, I have to pay. Or, better example, I go to Panama and I work for Shell Oil in Panama City. It's an American-based international company. Yeah, I'm going to get a W-2. Okay, family employees, if I have my kids work for me under 21 years old, and I have sole proprietorship or a partnership, I can pay my kids' wages, and write off the wages of my business, I have to pay FICA. So it's a tax planning technique for transference of interfamily wealth without tax. Household employees. What if I have a staff? I have a nanny, I have a chauffeur, I have a cook, I have a house cleaner, all those things. Do I have to pay FICA on them? Sure I do. Do I have to issue them a W-2? Sure I do. Do I have to pay workers' comp on them? Absolutely. Why do you think more than 80%, or roughly, how they estimate these things, I don't know because it's an underground economy, 80% of all domestics fly into the radar. My sister-in-law lives in Manhattan, has a nanny, pays her $40,000 a year, right? Jamaican lady, Jamaican woman. Think she does all this? Files all these returns, pays quarterly payroll taxes, SUDA, FUDA, FICA, workers' comp. But you're supposed to, it's the law. And then these are all the people that don't pay FICA. If you're an inmate, you're a fine employee of Deer Lodge, You are not paying FICA on the amount that they compensate you. Medical interns, student nurses, and workers serving temporarily in case of emergency. Again, whenever you see specific stuff like this in the law, it's either lobbying or legislation.
So with your example of the nanny, stuff like that, what if they got caught not paying?
Then they're gonna be assigned penalties and interest and back taxes.
Okay.
But, you know, it's like, you guys are probably, most of you should remember this, but in Montana, I think it was like 2 years after we moved back, we came back, I was college in the 80s, came back in 94. I think it was in place when we moved back around 96, 97. But it was only a suggested speed limit. We prefer you go under 80, but we're not going to issue you a ticket if you don't. I mean, it's reasonable and prudent. Was that what it was? But it said something on the sign. It said like 80. Well, after college, here you drive around with a beer wedge between your knees legally. Texas, they used to, when I first used to go down there, I got family down there, they had drive-up drink places. You just drove up in your car, oh, that's Scotch and Rocks place, and it's Julian down the road. I'm sure that's so safe. I never did that. And independent contractors, we've been through all this. We know that you don't pay FICA on them. And we know, and this is the key, this is what I was saying before, net earnings. In the example where she paid me $3,000 to do her painting, that's not necessarily what I calculate the 15.3% on. You get to write off everything you can think of against that. And then that's my net earnings. And then that's the amount I pay 15.3% on. Does that make sense? If an employer misclassifies employees, I'm going to be penalized equal to my share of FICA plus everything I should have taken from your paychecks. So you guys all code for me. I have a contract with the Department of Defense to provide a piece of software on an annual basis. So I contract out with them for $1.6 million to provide them the software on an annual basis. Then I hire all of you. You live around the country. We do everything digitally, obviously. I set up a FTP site, file transfer protocol site. You guys all write code and you feed it into the FTP for me. I bundle it, package it, ship it off to the DoD, and bill them for the $1.6 million. Okay? And every single one of you, every single, I don't know, twice a week, we have Skypes. We weigh in, we have flowcharts, progress, where are you at, how much code's been debugged, blah, 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 blah. Tightly manage your schedule. You're working 70 hours a week for me. Okay? Are you employees or independent contractors? Probably my employees. I don't have time to have other clients. I control how you behave, how you write your code. I tell you what platform to do it in, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Then one of you comes in and takes my payroll class, or somebody comes in and takes somebody's payroll class and says, oh my gosh, I'm paying all my own Social Security. I should not be under FICA. I should be under FICA. And you file a wage claim, and we're all tied in together. So you let everybody else know, hey, she's totally screwing us. We should be employees. And you file a class action suit, so to speak, wage claim. I'm going to be liable for 3 years of FICA plus FIF and FICA that I should have been taking from you if you guys hadn't been reporting your income.
So it's only 3 years.
3 years.
What if after you work at a company for 10 years, so you can make your
Bummer. If this penalty can be reduced by two things. One is if I've been giving you 1099 miscellaneouses, and the other is if you have been actually putting those earnings on your 1040. Then they're not going to penalize me, but I'm going to have to do it correctly into the future. And the other thing is it's a real bummer for you, because if you haven't been getting a 1099 and or you haven't been reporting it, how is that going to end up come back and bite you? Yeah, every year, once you've worked 40 quarters in your whole life, right, so 10 years, but it doesn't have to be consecutive. I worked a couple quarters when I was 14, and then another couple quarters when I was 16. And when you get to 40 quarters, you should every single year check your, what's it called, EBST or something, earnings and benefits statement on the SSA.gov website. I found 2 errors in my life, transposed numbers. And one of them was pretty detrimental to my earnings records that year. That's what they're going to calculate my Social Security on, right? So you want to make sure that's right.
So question real quickly. So if you got caught with all that, like do you get, excuse me, do you get put on like the IRS shit list? Like do they like really watch you in the future from that? Or?
So there's 3 different kinds of audits, and depending upon the severity of the audit, the findings of the audit, you're assigned something called a DIF, a differential something, it's a number, and it indicates how likely or unlikely you are in the future to
Do it again.
misstate.
Okay.
And then that puts you, with that said, you guys, the IRS is so incredibly understaffed to start with. We just got done with a 37-day shutdown where they said that they came back to 3 million pieces of unopened mail. So honestly, the odds, and our audit rates are less than 1% as it is. The numbers are astronomical that they estimate that we're cost on an annual basis from a revenue standpoint because of just gross underfunding of the IRS, right? So really, honestly, the odds.
Yeah, it's cool.
Basically, it's gotta be like hitting me online, like I need to defraud you, or else they're just gonna.
Or just like, like I've got, I actually don't have clients because I don't do high net worth people because I'm a solo practitioner. And I don't want to pay for liability insurance. It's super, super expensive. So I don't do not high net worth people, but like friends that are CPAs that do high net worth people, I mean, they're just permanently audited every single year. And anybody that's got a conglomerate of businesses, an offshore corporation, you're just gonna be audited every year. Yeah. Me, with my little W-2, my little side business, or most of us in here, probably not so much. What do they got to get from us if they find a misstatement? $412 in back taxes. Well, that's going to put a whole team of people on you, huh? No, they want to put a team of people on somebody they're going to audit and get $20 million in back taxes. Okay, what are taxable wages? Obviously, all the cash you make, wages, salaries, bonuses, commissions. Second bullet, we haven't probably talked about this before. What if your employer provides you with meals and lodging, right? So your employer says, hey, I'll buy you lunch every day. Or welcome to the Facebook campus. You get a badge that you can scan for 4-star organic $30 equivalent lunches every day. And oh, by the way, we have pet massages and dry cleaning and all the other crazy things you see at these campuses in Silicon Valley. Taxable? Sure it is. It's all taxable. Those are not free. The pet massage is not free. Okay? The lunch in the 4-star organic restaurant is not free.
Right, that's why they.
It's tracked. It's taxed to you. It's a write-off to the employer. You have a badge. I mean, have you ever been on one of those, like a campus like that? You get a badge. A lot of them are biometrics now. You just don't blink in front of it, and that's what you're going to have. Or fingerprint. Or voice recognition. I mean, obviously, these are tech campuses, so everything's techy. But yeah, then everything that you utilize, that's taxable. Okay. So it's not, you're not paying to have your chihuahua massage, but you're paying the taxes on it.
I think it's scary at the end of the year when you don't realize how much you racked up and you're thinking.
Their payroll systems will generally, on a monthly basis, take the taxes out. But yeah, I'm having that conversation with one of my sons right now about some stuff that he's got, but I'm like, why don't you pay a bunch of taxes?
Like what does he have? Out of curiosity.
Of benefits like that. Well, those things I just said. I mean, he doesn't have a chihuahua, so that's not really. But they do everything from dry cleaning, to health counseling, to personal training, to, they get free accounting and legal advice. He's got every kind of insurance you could ever think of. They've got these non-qualified stock options, qualified stock options, and it just goes on. He gave me all that, and I said, that's so over my pay grade, you need to get a Silicon Valley CPA. I do not deal with this stuff in Missoula, Montana. So all that stuff, all taxable, shows up. Fair market value, that's the key term right here. Fair market value of non-cash compensation. And in places like Silicon Valley where there's so many startups, like right now he's working for the founder of Uber that sold out of Uber and now has started a new company. And they come to the table with tons of cash to start up the business, but they don't have cash to pay you. It's all stock options. You're going to be rich when, right? Fill in the blank. So they compensate them with all this non-cash stuff. Because cash is at a premium because they're trying to scale up so fast. And that's the other way to get young people in the door. It's a whole different world. Super, super crazy world. Taxable wages, fringe benefits. Okay. What about personal use of a corporate card? Here you go. Have a F-650. That's how they give you the city. They give you a Tesla. You do have a special money. Yeah, it's a lane for electric vehicles. So instead of sitting in that line for 2 hours, getting from the Bay down to San Jose, you get home over there.
You don't want your battery to die.
No, it's just a way to incent people to buy electric vehicles. Here's another, because the congestion and the pollution is bad, really bad. So how do we get people on board to invest in electric vehicles? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to set aside a very special lane from the commute in, so they don't sit with those other 12 lines of traffic. It's a great idea.
So much better than like a tax write-off.
Oh, my God. Your time's worth more than any amount of money in the city. Because if you're in that world, you're already making top dollar. I don't need another 10 grand a year. What I need is to get to work in 45 minutes instead of 2 hours. Yeah, it works. And then they have these really nice like pull-offs where you stop and you get a latte while your battery's getting charged. Whole different world. Okay, so they give you the corporate card, they give you the Tesla. Do you have to pay any taxes on that? Only for what you drive it personally for. So I use it for work, but on the weekends, I load up the kids and we go to Tahoe. Then you have to keep track of your miles, and there's a huge chart that the IRS puts out, and every mile that you drove a certain year and make of a vehicle goes on your tax return. So if they give you the keys to a 1975 Pinto, it's not going to look like if they throw you the keys to a Model S. Same with flights. If you fly around on an employer-owned plane, that's another huge benefit you see in Silicon Valley all the time. Hey, part of what you get if you come to work for me is you get to fly on the employer plane 7 flights a year. Where you want to go? Yeah, probably. Okay, premiums on group term life. Group term life is when I buy life insurance for all of you guys. And if I buy a premium on you up to $50,000 of a face value, no big deal. Why would I do that for you? I buy life insurance for all of you guys for $25,000. Is that going to take care of your family if you pass? No. What's it going to do? It's going to bury you. So basically, that's what I'm paying for is final expenses, a policy to cover your final expenses. The average funeral in America is $19,000. Huge business. And guess what? You are guaranteed business and technology and skill. Cremation class. Little tiny urn.
$1,000.
Oh, the differential's way higher.
Are you sure? I thought still like you could, I thought cremation was still at least like $1,000 to $5,000.
Oh, it is, but the differential between getting cremated and getting actually buried,
$1,000.
oh, thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars.
I gotta work.
Yeah, look up the average difference, I'd be interested, I bet you the differential's 7 or 8.
Oh, it'll-
So, but if I buy life insurance for you guys with more than a $50,000 face value, in other words, that's what your beneficiary gets, what am I trying to do now? Help you with what? Help your family, probably, in perpetuity, right? So the premiums on insurance for face values more than $50,000, that goes on your tax return.
Anybody have life insurance, ever had life insurance?
Do you know, or are you willing to share, do you know if it's for final expenses or for?
Well, my insurance, for, my employer pays minimum, one, and then I have an additional one. That's one for
Right. So you buy $100,000 of life insurance because you want to take care, if you leave your children to somebody, you gotta get the money to go with it, right? Here, good news, I need you to take care of my kids if I pass. Bad news is I don't have a life insurance policy. Okay, so you get the point. So if I get a policy of 50,000 or more premiums, vacation pays tax, and there's a comprehensive list there. What did you find out, Red?
Cremation costs anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000. And if you get a coffin, that's gonna be like 4,000.
Like for a box.
Yeah, and like a bolt too, you know what I mean, like put in a
Yeah.
bolt, that's gonna be like $4,000, at least, $1,000.
They've got a new system for people that are interested in sustainability. Have you guys seen this? We've actually got one in Montana.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
It's in Montana, but I saw like it's almost like they bury you with like a seed or something like that, and a tree grows.
Yeah, we've got one up this.
Oh, I was right, okay.
That's exactly what they do. And it's just like, I mean, it's
Smart, but.
it's smart. I mean, you don't have all the accoutrements or the stuff. They actually, interestingly enough, from a sustainability standpoint, it is more carbon intensive to be incinerated than it is to be buried and manufacture the coffin because of the tremendous amount of heat it takes to incinerate. It's not very carbon friendly. So if you're concerned about that, I'm going to
But what long term would you kind of, because that's once done and then you're decomposing for 1,000 years.
versus the carbon around making a coffin and the land it takes.
Now,
So many things to think about.
Once I'm dead.
When you say vacation thing, so for instance, you go work for somebody, you take vacation, but you just take it like you know time.
Right.
Instead of like.
Yeah.
How's that?
That just shows up as your regular wages on your W-2.
So what is it referring to as a vacation pay? Like,
If you leave a job and they pay you your PTO. So you leave, I owe you 2 weeks of vacation pay, you haven't taken it. Okay, tips, we're back to tips. Now it gets even more fun. So what do we know about tips so far? We know what? Tell me one thing. But you be a little more specific.
You have to pay them $2.13 and they get a tip credit back to follow.
Okay, but my people all have to get $2.13 an hour. I get a tip credit of $5.12 an hour, bring up to $7.25 an hour for federal minimum wage. Okay, now, what happens if I on that? Let's do some examples. Let's say this. Let's say that I worked 40 hours at minimum tipped wage, and I reported tips equal to $600. Can you figure out how much FICA you're getting that you're going to take out of my paycheck? I worked 40 hours at minimum tipped wage, and I reported $600 at tips. How much FICA are you going to take out of my paycheck? In total. in total. Think about this carefully. How much are my gross wages? 85.20, right?
Oh.
Okay, so if I made minimum tipped wage for 40 hours and I reported tips of $600, I've got to pay FICA on the whole kit and caboodle. So that's $685.20 times 7.65%, $52.42. The next question is, what do you take that out of? Yeah.
So your paycheck's only gonna be.
Yeah, my paycheck now looks like $85.20 minus $52.42, minus fifth, minus sixth.
What happens if all that adds up more than the 85?
What does happen? What if I had an amazing job and my tips were $1,600 in a week? Does my $85.20 begin to absorb my taxes?
No, at the end of the year, you're gonna have to pay.
At the end of the year, you're gonna have to pay, but really, then you're also gonna have to pay a penalty. What do you really have to do if you're ongoing owing taxes? You file quarterly estimates, they're called 1040-ES. And I would say like a good half to 2/3 of my clients file estimated payments because they have a rental or an Airbnb in their basement, or they're an independent contractor with wages, or their tips, that doesn't really happen so much here, but could. Whole variety of reasons. Or you're a trust fund kid, you get checks for interest and dividends every month.
So the employer would just give you a pay stub for your say.
Nothing.
This and
Yeah.
this, and they don't.
Now, you get a pay stub that says you get nothing, and then you probably either figure out how to do it yourself or hire an accountant that would help you make your quarterly estimated payments. Now, here, we didn't talk about this, but we need to talk about this. There's a whole other layer to the tips here that we need to address. Did we start at 12:30? Whole other layer, the reason I ask every single day is I got one class that starts at 12 and one class that starts at 12:30. So that's what you're about. Okay, here's the whole other layer. The law says that if you're a large employer, meaning that you employ 10 or more people, that you have to assure that everybody reports 8% of their gross sales. And if they, as tips. And if they don't do that, you have to allocate tips. What the heck does that all mean? So let's go back and continue with this example I just put up here, except for, I'm going to add one more piece of information, which is my sales last week for this tipped employee that said that she got $600. My sales of food and beverage were $10,000. I work at a super high-end bottle service, just a super high-end place in LA. And I pumped up 10 grand worth of food and beverage last week. My question is, what are her allocated tips? She reported 600. Now we've got two things. She reported tips of 600. But I have to allocate her tips of 200 to get her up to the 8%. Right? The bare minimum that I can accept is $800. And she only reported 6. So I have to allocate 2. No, I don't give them. I'm going to show you what I don't give her the money. I allocate it, which means it goes on her W-2, and I'll show you this real quick. Because the law says the very bare minimum that you can report is 8%. Unless you want to, I just want a W-2. Huh. Why? Oh, here we go. If you're somebody that's chronically making less than 8%, I think Red asked this question before. If you chronically make less than 8%, you're not very good at your job, or you live in an incredibly depressed area, in which case you can apply for, I don't know what it's called, not a grievance, but an adjustment of the 8% rate. There you go. Okay, so what allocated tips mean is right here on box 8, that $200 is going to show up. And when you file your tax return, guess what you have to do? You've got to pay FICA on it, and you've got to pay SIT on it. So you're certainly not getting out from underneath taxes on it. You're just consolidating it all into one lump sum. And you're kind of screwing yourself because your employer never matches that Social Security.
So if, say that week you only do 600, but then the next week, all things remain constant, you do $1,000. That doesn't come off of that, does it?
The bottom line is 8% is such a low number culturally that if you're consistently making below that, you probably should apply for an adjustment. If you're realistically making below that, there's either like some sort of policy problem at your company, like parties of 6 or more automatically at 15% tax on, or you're just really bad at your job. Okay, so does everybody understand how allocated tips work? Okay, what's specifically exempt from FICA? Well, meals and lodging, but this time it's for the employer's convenience. It's not the example of the Amazon campus I was talking about earlier. It's the example of, I have a peach farm in Georgia, and I can't get anybody to come work for me because I'm 120 miles from the nearest 2DOT. People have to come out and live on my farm during harvest time.
The company I work for in the summer, they pay for our housing, out in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
Live there and sell.
And you don't get it, it'll show up on your W-2 because it's for their convenience. It's not like you're dying to live in company housing in Lexington, but that's pretty nice. So, but they get to write that off and you don't pay tax on it. Versus, oh, you're the president of the company, I'm going to provide you with a McMansion to live in, it's not for your convenience, that's going to get taxed to you. Sick pay, if you get sick pay after 6 months off, that's not taxable. And then there's this differential pay for soldiers and reservists. Okay, these are all pretty important. If your employer matches part of the money that you put into a pension plan, a 401k or a 403b or a SEP or a KEO or any of those fancy things, that's not taxable to you. That's a huge benefit. I was just talking about my personal finance class about this. If you've got a plan in your business for say you make $30,000 a year and they're like, I'll match your 401k contributions up to 3% of your pension or of your gross. 30,000 times 3%, I put away my $900, they match me dollar for dollar. That $900 is the best of all worlds. First off, it's free money. Second off, it's not taxable. So it really is dollar for dollar. No, they get a write-off deduction for it. That, when you see stuff like that, that is highly indicative that Congress really emphasizes the importance of this societally. So they want to do everything they can to get people to encourage to save for retirement. Versus, hey, do you want a $900 bonus? Why would you take the match? $900 bonus is fully taxable. That's FICA. No way, I went for $900 for my 401k. Every time.
Is it taxable when you take it out?
It is taxable when you take it out. But if they put $900 in your account today, you've still got 30 odd years till you retire, Brooke. That $900 is going to turn into $4,000 because of the power of time. And none of that interest is taxed over those years. That's called tax deferred earnings.
Is it like the Roth IRA thing? Is that what that
That's
is?
exactly opposite of Roth. You don't get any tax benefit up front to put money into it, but it's not taxable when you pull it out. But the theory is that most of us, unless we're looking to inherit or sell a business later in life, most of us will be in a smaller tax bracket in retirement than we are during our earning years, realistically. Unless you're set to inherit or sell a business at the end of your life. The working life. Okay, and then this next one, if my employer provides me with education assistance, we see that all the time. Students come here, their employer's like, yeah, I'll pay 80% of your tuition. As long as it's non-discriminatory, and that doesn't mean discriminatory based on the civil rights categories, it means discriminatory based on where you are in the company. In other words, my CEO can take advantage of the tuition reimbursement plan, and my lower tier people can take advantage of the tuition reimbursement plan. That's non-discriminatory, don't have to pay taxes on it. So again, you know, somebody give you a bonus or pay for college? Pay for college, pay for my classes. Tax free.
Is it a later tax bill, or not like this is a lot of it?
There's never any tax. Again, highly indicative of how much Congress values it. If you've got an employer that's willing to help you with your tuition, Congress is going to let them write it off on their business tax return and not tax you on it on your personal tax return.
And now I probably got a number up here that we agreed not to use.
What was the last one on that slide about the things, you know, about the, or that part of the education?
That's part of the education. What number did we just agree to use? Oh, well, crap. Let's do this, just for giggles. Because honestly, I can't keep track between the years.
What is our book?
What number does our book give us? Huh? It gives both. Oh, you said that. OASDI cap. Okay, what's the cap for 2017? 127.2. What's the cap for 2018? 128.7. So this number must have been an estimate before it actually got, oh, shoot. What number did I put for on the tax tables? Oh, grr. All right. Well, we're going to need to, I'm going to change this as we go. That's going to be fun. Okay. So here we go. We're sticking with 128.7. So can somebody figure out the tax for me? Just multiply that by 7.65. And we know the 1.45 and all that good stuff. How much is the maximum tax then? 6.2, sorry.
7979.
Right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to save this and repost it. All right. Now, interesting note. In 1950, there were 16 workers paying into Social Security for every single person that was collecting benefits. Now, or it's projected to be, I think now it's something like 4.5, and it's projected to get down to 2. We're not replacing ourselves even, are we? And it's just a very weird oxymoron that we're trying to keep workers out when we're dying for workers in this country. We need workers. We don't have enough workers because there's not enough of us. And this is a big problem. There's not enough people paying in. So what's going to happen with this? So actuarially, it's not very solid. So we need to encourage workers to come to this country, get them on the rolls, get them working and producing a whole ton of jobs that average Americans are finding it really willing to do. It's a whole nother
You got a crime
Top.
problem, it's status, chicks and problems. Or you
Bid.
don't respect, the janitors and stuff, when they're just as good as anyone else.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work being done around that to destigmatize the blue collar, look at blue collar area.
Exactly, like people in trades, 80, 100 days.
They're very good jobs in some of the trades. Okay, let's work this. We'll do one problem for you. This is the issue. We've got a gal who makes $138,000 a year. Yay, family. And she is paid semi-monthly on the 15th and the 30th of each month. And I'm running December 15th's payroll, and the question is, how much FICA do I take out of her paycheck? One more time.
What day of the month?
Oh, God, yeah. You're fine. 15th and 30th. So step number 1 is to figure out what you think her gross paycheck is every time the payroll's run. What's her gross payroll every time payroll's run?
Every time, so when you get paid twice a month, it's
24 times a year.
then
Bi-weekly's 26, semi-monthly's 24. Okay, so you get her gross paycheck. The next thing you need to figure out is, so does she cap in general? Yeah. The question is she capping on this payroll? or not? How are you gonna figure that out? You have to figure out how much she made before today. How many times was she paid before today? She was paid 22 times before today. So she's going to be on December 15th and December 30th. She's paid 24 times a year. She's going to pay 22 times before today. How much has she made prior year to date? Is she going to cap on this paycheck? Yeah. She made $126,500 before today. Then today she's going to make another $5,750, right? So my question to you is, how much of the $5,750 does she need to pay Social Security on? Or I'm sorry, OASDI on? But she pays HI on all of it. Figure out your tax.
These numbers are going to be wrong. So how much is their tax? 136.40? Or did I go the wrong way? Is it only $1,600? So she's paying tax on $2,200, right? Is that what you guys got, 136.40? HI doesn't change. $219.78. Okay, so key takeaway here. Let's try one more of these. This time I've got somebody who makes $211,000 a year and is paid monthly on the 12th of each month. And I want you to run I want you to run the August 12th payroll. Just tell me how much FICA to take out of August 12th payroll. Annual salary is $211,000, paid monthly on the 12th of each month. And I want you to run the August 12th payroll, or calculate the FICA. I could live on this month if I had to. I think August, right?
Okay, yeah, I'm just concerned that.
Maybe I did.
I'm kidding. But it's-
Prior year-to-date wages. So on this payroll, she's gonna cap. This entire amount you have to pay HI on, right? So that number, HI, 1.45% of that number, that's non-negotiable. You'll always have to pay on that. $254.96. But on this, I only pay up to 128.7, and then I quit paying, right? So that 6.2% is only paid between 123,083, and the 128,700.
Budgeted times 7 is still times 8.
So I wanted to find her prior year-to-date payroll before today. So 56,1669 is what I have to pay tax on. 6.2%, and then she's home free, then she's done paying OASDI, right?
No. Oh, that's $4,000.
348.23.
Oh, yeah.
Add these two numbers together, and that's her FICA. Okay, for Friday, no, not Friday, Tuesday. I do want to save that, so let me cancel that for the time being.
Go ahead and do the review and the discussion questions for Tuesday from chapter 3. So read the chapter and do your review and discussion questions, and then bring those 941 blanks. Have a splendid weekend. 1st of February is tomorrow. A month that has Valentine's Day in it, which is kind of fun. The ones that are on the syllabus, whenever I assign any, what's on the syllabus. We haven't gone all the way through it.
I see.